if you like betting on golf. But everyone that you back misses the cut. Get some experts involved with all the stats and the tips and so much more. Cause it's the golf betting system, the golf betting system. It's the golf betting system podcast.
Greetings and welcome to the Golf Betting System podcast. It's episode 372. This is our 2025 Alfred Dunhill Links and Sanderson Farms Championship Tips podcast. Barry O'Hanrahan and Paul Williams join me, Steve Bamford, to discuss this week's DP and PGA Tour action. Good morning, gents.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, guys.
This podcast is for listeners of 18 and above. Please be gamble aware. You can visit gambleaware.org for more information. And of course, please bet responsibly. Visit our world-famous golf betting system website where we have in-depth betting previews for both the Dunhill and the Sanderson Farms. Paul has been in the stats lab pulling together this week's data. We have Country Club of Jackson strokes gained rankings, detailed form, event and combi sheets. Plus, of course, new and old predictor models for both events this week. All of our content is available completely free of charge. There is no paywall or registration required. On X, Barry is at A Good Talk Golf. Paul is at Golf Betting. I am at Bamford Golf. We're on Bluesky. Search for Steve Bamford and Paul Williams. Subscribe to the Steve Bamford Golf YouTube channel where this podcast is available each and every week. If you are listening to this on YouTube, please smash that like button and, of course, subscribe. Now, you guys as listeners power this podcast, so we need your 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. As ever, for those of you who leave a review, I'll read them out to start with a future show. Leave your name and where you are in the review. Keep those reviews coming. They are very, very important. Right. My commute companions, 5 stars. Hi, guys. Kevin here from the links of Ballybunion. Look forward each week to listening to the podcast on my commute to and from work. The banter is great. And golf stats are top notch. Shout outs to Steve for his in-depth grass knowledge. Have had a few winners this season thanks to the pod. Shout out to my mate Connor for recommending the show at the start of the season. Kevin from Ballybunion, thank you very much for your 5-star review.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Kevin. Glad you're enjoying the pod.
Cheers, Kevin. It's a nice place to be living, golf course-wise.
I just like saying it, Ballybunion. We offer, can we say thanks to Connor as well? Actually, it raises a great point. We're going into our kind of slow part of the year where only the real hardcore golf punters listen. But if you could just share, on your weekend game of golf or down the pub, just mention to people that are interested in golf or betting that the Golf Betting System podcast is something you listen to, like Connor did, we'd really appreciate it. What they call that? Organic growth.
Yeah, spread the word. Why not?
Spread the word. Right, Ryder Cup. We need to talk about it, don't we? We have got a packed show, so we need to keep it kind of succinct. I planned for the Ryder Cup really well this year. I backed Europe early, although the price did drift, so I could have got a bigger price pre-event. I also avoided putting X on, both during the build-up to the Ryder Cup and during the Ryder Cup, because I just didn't want to... The stuff you see on X over Ryder Cup week is just phenomenally bad, I think. Just the comments like every 5 seconds about each and every shot and this, that and the other. So I literally just whitewashed everything and just watched the golf. And it was thoroughly enjoyable. Clearly the first couple of days, Friday, Saturday, were great for Europe. And then the fight back from America on Sunday. I mean, I woke up on Sunday to reports on Sky saying that the likelihood of us winning by 18, a margin of 18 something, 19 something, 20 something. And I said to my wife, this is just ridiculous. Sensationalising everything. It's like, well, we haven't won yet. You've got to get 14 points to retain and 14 and a half. And all of a sudden we're going to win 20 something and 19 something. I thought the fight back was kind of inevitable, and it certainly came. What were your thoughts about the 3 days? Just from a golfing perspective, first of all, rather than we go on to talk about other factors.
Yeah, we talked about how we thought it would go last week, and to be honest, it wasn't far off how we kind of anticipated it, because I guess the team cohesion with Team Europe lends itself more to the first 2 days. We talked about the foursomes and how strong the European team were in Rome, and that came through again in New York, 6-2 in the end for the foursome. So that little bet came in from my perspective, which was pleasing. The four balls, 5.5, 2.5, which I anticipated the American team would be stronger in that, so it would be a little bit closer. Closer to parity at least going into Sunday, but it wasn't. Again, the European team dominated that. It looked like it was going to be a rout, as you said. Going into the final day, the narrative was more about how many points Team Europe win by, rather than should they win. But golf's not like that. It was almost like watching a DP World Tour event towards the end, where you can just see a player that you've backed who's 8 shots clear, just frittering it away, and slowly getting back to the point of inevitability. But it was great as a spectacle. I love it. It's not much of a betting event for me. I have a few punts. Till Hatton top live, that came in as well, which was nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you have a bet on Hatton, because he was joint point top point scorer with Rory McIlroy, 3.5. No, Tommy Fleetwood was 4, wasn't he? He came in the each way places with McIlroy, 3.5.
Yeah, I had Hatton top live. I had Hatton top English, so of course Fleetwood won that. But 2 of my 3 pre-event bets came in, which was nice. And then I do have a little dabble with doubles and upwards in the actual sessions themselves, and which I got a couple of those in as well. So actually, from a betting perspective, it was quite good. But that's not what it's about for me. I'm just more about just vegging out on the sofa and watching the spectacle, because it is truly a spectacle. Some of those sessions, the Friday night session was just captivating towards the end of the session. Of course, Sunday, wow, it was just as I say, this American juggernaut coming towards you, spearheaded by Bryson DeChambeau's comeback against Matt Fitz, and it kept everything exciting right to the end. So brilliant, I loved it, absolutely loved it. What about you, Barry?
I thought it was completely and utterly just mind blowing. I loved it to bits, because it had everything you want in a drama of a golf tournament or a golf event. Each of the four first team sessions, nothing was the same really, other than let's say the Rory foursomes up against, who was it, English and Morikawa. That was just inevitable for those two. But other than that, the 4 sessions felt kind of distinct, and they had different kind of things going on, and so you didn't feel like you were watching the same thing. The evening sessions were both, like I agree, they were both extremely exciting, very just fascinating. The energy was up in the crowd because the beers were flowing a bit more, and going into Sunday, the psychology of having a lead that big just means you're going to be playing a little bit defensive, naturally, and then just the more of it creeps in then, because you're just hanging on to that lead. You just need to get a couple more points, coupled with the US knowing they needed to put on a big show because they were just smashed apart in the first 2 days. So you knew there was going to be them kicking back, and they always do in singles. They seem to just perform very, very well as individuals, and I think on an away Ryder Cup, the crowd gives you those individuals the support they need that we seem to be able to counteract very well in a team situation, because we just support each other, and that's like your defense against the crowd. So overall, I just thought it was really thrilling Ryder Cup and highly enjoyable. And I don't even know if Europe would have needed to win for me to to be not far off the same level of enjoyment, because it was that entertaining. But it was that much nicer that we did win, and what a way for it to happen as well, with the maximum stress coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
Top point scorers: Fleetwood on 4, Hatton 3.5 with McIlroy, and then there was a massive tie for 3 points. Cam Young, who I'd backed, he was joint top American point scorer with Xander, who played some really nice stuff. John Rahm was in there with 3 as well. If we look at the other end of the spectrum, Rasmus, to be fair, we did point out the players that we thought were going to be weak links. Rasmus was 0 from 2. Sepp Straka 1 from 3. On the American side, you could just keep listing them. 0.5 point from Harris English from 3. Henley 0.5 point from 3, as was Morikawa. And of course, Scotty Scheffler 1 point from 5.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That was, that certainly wasn't anticipated, particularly seeing as he played every session. But that's the nature of how Europe dominated those the first 2 days. It was, Scotty just couldn't compete with him. You put him in a head-to-head against Rory. Again, another outstanding tussle between the pair of them. In the end, Rory just couldn't quite claw him back to a tie. But just captivating. Full stop.
Keegan kept mentioning that he'd made a mistake with the course setup. And then, of course, he'd go on to describe the greens were way too slow. But we said again on Tuesday's podcast last week that the forecast was that the heavens were going to open on Thursday and that course was going to get absolutely hammered with precipitation, and it did. So I get confused of so did Keegan want firm, fast greens and a golf course with no rough whatsoever and shorter tee boxes, or was that the ideal setup he wanted? Because at that point, no one could have made any difference. Because at the end of the day, if it's going to rain like 25 millimeters of rain the day before before the tournament starts, no one can control that.
No.
What was he inferring, Barry? Was it just purely the speed of the greens that screwed the Americans, in his opinion?
It was more than just that. It felt like the goal was to make it a birdie fest, and their expectation was that the US with the home support would just ride that wave and just hold more putts because of knowing the reaction you're going to get to it. So you hope for that little edge in putting and birdies, and that's what it felt like their rationale was for setting up the course like that. But I thought it was. Yes, there was a lot of rain on Thursday, but it was still interesting to hear so many comments around X and on TV that New York had been quite dry this summer. So that 1 inch of rain shouldn't have had the course as soft as it played for the Ryder Cup. So it was it seems like a very intentional course setup or course preparation to have it play like that. Whoever's decision that was, it backfired.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I've read comments saying that Americans had an advantage statistically on ball striking than Team Europe, and that the course should have been tougher, thicker rough and less birdies. But that's the kind of way we set up our courses for the Ryder Cup, and the Americans can't cope with that either. So I don't know. Anyway, it's all a bit sort of kind of whataboutery. Couple more questions and we'll move on to this week's golf. No captain has ever won 3 Ryder Cups. Tony Jacklin's got a couple. Bernard Gallagher. Should Luke Donald be our captain for 2027?
In
Ireland.
He's been asked the question. Well, the crowd were asking the question all the way through Sunday, weren't they? But yeah, I've seen a couple of interviews or questions being asked on Sky. I think he's keeping his cards close to his chest.
Yeah.
I think quite rightly he should just go and celebrate this first before even contemplating it. I suspect there'll be the offer there. I can't believe there won't be the offer there. It depends whether he wants to dedicate another 2 years of his life to it. It clearly suits him and his personality perfectly. He's got massive respect from the players. And what he's doing there, the way that he's galvanised a team twice, has been massively impressive. Now, whether you can take that blueprint and someone else can pick it up, or whether that is unique to Luke and his surrounding team, difficult to tell. I think it would be great if he did do it. The danger is he goes and loses the next Ryder Cup, and it kind of tarnishes what is an exemplary record of 2 Ryder Cups.
He was taking that risk going into this one anyway.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's from all the detail they put into it. It's no mean feat putting 2 years of that effort in, and he's done 4 now. So maybe he does decide to hang up his hat and say, that's it. But I think even if you do have a new Ryder Cup captain in, the systems and the culture and everything around the captaincy and the team and the whole backroom staff and side staff, we just seem to have the formula very well sorted, and it goes back a long way. So once the right personality goes in as the captain, the structure and scaffolding is there for them to work with, and then put their own little kind of personality or their own little personal touch to it. And his in these last 4 years has been amazing. But that level of detail being put into our teams and our preparation has gone back a long way before Luke Donald became captain. And so I think, yes, would we love him to be there again? It'd be great. But if he's not, I don't feel like we'll be lacking for a really good option to step into that situation.
Yeah. What do you think, Stu?
Well, it's history, but I don't think people realise the effort that must go into it. I mean, it affects his own personal golf game, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting Luke Donald could be world number 1 again, but Keegan Bradley admitted it. It's like you're just thinking about the Ryder Cup every living day. What difference you can make. So to do that over 6 consecutive years is a hell of a big ask. But again, he'd be making history, and of course, it is going to be a home Ryder Cup in Ireland. So it's a difficult question. I think he'll go for it after 6 months of. Well, not 6, but certainly up until Christmas and around there, just thinking it through.
Yeah.
Clearly the players want it. And you've got to ask yourself, in terms of Europe, yes, we're at peak Team Europe in terms of the performances and the players we've got, but that team isn't overly going to change that much. Just from an age perspective, and you can't see many dropping out that team. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for Justin Rose to do that at the age of 47. To still be in the team, but who says he can't do it? I still think he's got a major in him.
Well,
it'd have to be the Masters or the Open. He's got a major in him.
There were some players that Rose is one of those players that just absolutely caught the eye with some of his play during the course of the 3 days. Him and Cam Young. Cam Young from an American side, and I know Cam Young's been until he got that win, it's almost the standing joke about, never winning a PGA Tour event. And you get to a major championship and you think, well, Cam Young's good, but he's not even won a PGA Tour event yet, let alone winning a major. I think he's really stood up and made a huge name for himself, and I think that should give him massive confidence moving forwards. I wouldn't be surprised to see Cam Young have a huge year in 2026.
One last question, and this is specifically to Barry before we move on. Based on what we saw over in New York and the antics that were going on through practice days all the way through Friday, Saturday and Sunday, what should the Americans expect of a Irish stroke European crowd in 2027?
I think no matter where you are in the world, you'll always have a few idiots who try push the boat out a bit too far with their comments and just go past the line, or maybe go a bit too far over. You'll have a few of those here for sure. It's just statistics. It has to happen. But I think overall you'll get a bit more just like witty banter. Yeah, and enough. I think it'll be more like focused on supporting the Europeans. You'll get a few chirps and jabs here and there, but I don't think it'll be anything near kind of the viciousness of some of the comments that were reported. I hope it's not. And I mean, and you have that straight away from Rory saying that's not going to happen. Like, so that will be just culturally inserted into the entire process, and everybody going there needs to understand that. They'll also be reminded about how bad the optics were in the US, so people will be a bit more mindful of it. Then again, you'll still have an idiot or two here or there, but if they're ejected, then that sets the tone.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. You need to just set the tone early, and it didn't seem like that was the case, and then people just pushed the envelope a bit. So yeah, it's you're just kind of embarrassed for those people that do it. And I think it was detrimental to the US, because every time we see, there seems to be one of those moments flash up on TV. You'd see a European guy get a bit angry about something that was, clearly quite nasty, and we'd just like roll in a putt or stitch a shot. It was just motivational for them. They just took it as fuel to the fire, and it may have helped us in a weird way.
I think the American players were getting embarrassed by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, they're mates with all these guys, aren't they? I mean, look at Keegan and Luke. They're members of the Bears Club. They practice together, have a drink after practice together all the time. Yeah. They're all one big golfing community, and that includes a load of the live guys as well, with Brooks and DJ. And so to see your kind of companions receiving that kind of level of hatred, that's not encouraging you as an American player, I don't think. I think that's kind of putting you back in your shit. Maybe that was half the trouble.
Yeah. Makes them uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think Barry's point's right. I think the way that the behaviour was observed and the optics, as you described it, will be used as an example of what shouldn't happen in 2 years' time. And yeah, there's going to be banter, there's going to be noise. It comes with the tournament, but there's a level, and I think it went beyond that a couple of times. It was pulled back appropriately when it needed to be, and as you said, Steve, I think it's the players were embarrassed by it, the American players, and that's quite right. So yeah, we move on.
How are you going about getting us tickets, Barry? Just out of interest. I mean, that's the key question of the whole pod. I think this whole pod needs to be actually entitled, how is Barry going to get the GBS boys tickets for the 2027 Ryder Cup?
Like any fan, I've entered the ballot, and still, hoping to win the lotto so we could do one of the corporate experiences. I've heard some of the prices of those, and they are truly, truly obnoxious. So. Let's see if we can get lucky in the ballot.
What we might have to do, Paul, is just fly over and watch it in Barry's local for a couple of days, and then, that'd do me.
The atmosphere would be incredible.
If it was $16 being in Ireland, I think.
If it was $16 for a Bud Light in New York, what's it going to be for a Guinness over in Ireland next year?
Who knows? It'll be 2 years' time, so yeah. I don't think it'd be as expensive, but it's still going to be punchy enough. Like it's a serious money maker. The Ryder Cup is.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was one of my major takeouts from this Ryder Cup, though. How a lot of Americans can't handle their Bud Lights. Well, let's move on, shall we? Paul, let's move on to your tournament this week first. It's one of the staples, isn't it, on the DP World Tour? I mean, there's a whole litany of classic Alfred Dunhill tournaments and big name winners. So the 2025 Alfred Dunhill Links Championship, and of course the 36 holes they play at the iconic St Andrews Old Course. Let's take the listeners through the Alfred Dunhill first this week.
Well, let's hope they do actually get 36 holes in. Looking at the forecast, we'll come to that in a.
We've had this conversation over many years as well with the forecasts. Yeah,
you're always running the risk as you head into late September in Scotland that things are going to get a little bit fruity weather-wise. But yeah, we'll see. We'll try and pick that apart in a few minutes. But yeah, our annual trip to the home of golf. Pro-Am format as ever, played over 3 courses with a huge field, 168 players in attendance. As you said, Steve, always a popular event though, popular with punters, popular with players as well. There's a number of players that earmark this as one of their one of the staples of their diary for the season. And you've got the Pro-Am partners coming through that play each and every year, and really slowing down play, which is the normal fare here. $5 million prize fund, so it's a decent event to be winning anyway. 5,000 race to Dubai points. So in context of the season, it's fairly important to the players who are aiming for something to happen this side of the final 2 events in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So lots to play for. Lots of decent players in attendance. 4 of Team Europe's heroes, hungover heroes, I suspect, returning from New York to play this week. And as you might understand, they dominate the betting. Tommy Fleetwood, 13-2 favourite. Tyrrell Hatton, 9-1. Matt Fitzpatrick, 11s. And Bob McIntyre, 16-1. So those 4 players, they are the 4 shortest players in the field this week, as you might expect. You've also got the likes of Harry Hall playing again over in Europe, 18-1. Marco Penge, 20s. Rasmus Nergaard Pettersson, 22s. A lot of live players in the field, actually. We've got Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, David Puig, all 25-1. 35-1 bar those players. There were 26 invites for this, and a lot of the live players have taken those up, rightly or wrongly.
DJ's playing, isn't he?
Yeah, DJ's playing. Cam Smith, Thomas Peters, Bubba Watson. There's lots of names that have come over for this, aside from the players a little bit further up the betting that I just read through. So yeah, it's going to be star-studded in that respect. So
when are the PIF going to buy the DP World Tour? It's got to be coming up soon, isn't it? Do you reckon it'll be this winter?
Well, we shall see, Steve.
You're seeing more and more of these live players at the events, aren't you?
Well, you are, and certainly with an event like this that does have a lot of invites available, there's been a disproportionate number that have gone to live players, and rightly or wrongly, I'm not going to call out whether it's the appropriate thing to do or not, but there'll be players out there, European Tour or DP World Tour players that can't get a start for this because the place has been taken by one of the many live players that have been invited to play. So there'll be arguments both ways, I'm sure. But one thing we know is we will be blessed with some very strong players this week on our screens. So as a spectacle, it should be really good. Lots of each way options out there this week, of course, with a big field. Ball Sports have gone 10 places each way, 1/5 of the odds as standard this week. Covell and Ladbrokes gone 8 places each way as standard, and of course you've got the extended options from both Betfred and Bet365 available, 8, 10, 12 place options available if you dig through the market. So as ever, do shop about. There are some good combinations out there. Now, in terms of the course or the courses, we're playing the regular rotation this week. So St Andrews, Kingsbarns and Carnoustie. Links Golf at its finest. I'm not sure we need to go through the courses in any great detail. Carnoustie is usually the toughest of the three, but all of them can be quite challenging if the weather's bad. And the forecast, well, that really does suggest that things could get a little bit fruity actually over the weekend. There's still a lot of uncertainty, but it looks increasingly like what is left of Hurricane Humberto will hit the UK and Ireland on Friday and into Saturday. So when I first looked at this last week, it looked like it was going to be fairly, well, not placid. It looked like it was going to be maybe 15 mile an hour winds, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of rain. So it looked like a regular kind of Alfred Dunhill links where you might get to 20, 22, 24 under par, easy pin positions, lots of birdies. But it's deteriorated day on day, and it continues to deteriorate every time I look at the forecast now. So there's clearly something percolating. Rain on Thursday, that looks like it's pretty much a given. Light rain, 15 mile an hour wind, so as you were. The wind then picks up towards the end of Friday if things go as the forecast is looking right now. Saturday, I'm seeing 50 mile an hour wind average during the course of the day. So if that's right, then, well, they won't play if that is how it actually pans out. Calms down on Sunday. So either we're going to have an absolutely brutal Saturday if it's playable, or there won't be any play and it will go into Sunday. The DP World Tour don't like Monday finishes. They haven't tended to do it for a while now. So it remains to be seen how they play this should Saturday be wiped out. And of course, the weather could change. The way this low pressure system is developing, it could go further north, it could go further south, it could be more impactful, could be less. So let's play it by ear. Let's second guess it right now. But I suspect it is going to be fairly tricky if they do get to play over the weekend. We shall see. What's also tricky is this event from a statistical perspective, because we only get stats for the rounds at St Andrews. We don't get any round data in terms of any of the traditional stats or the strokes gained stats from Kingsbarns or Carnoustie. So it can be a little misleading if you're digging through the stats historically. Winning scores tend to range from 15 under to 24 under, that kind of number, depending on the conditions. We've seen both extremes in recent years, actually, with Tyrrell Hatton winning again last year. It was his third title that he won, 24 under last year. Back in 2022, Ryan Fox won at 15 under. So they're kind of the two extremes. In between that, 2023, Matt Fitzpatrick won 19 under. That was through 3 rounds, and that was another one of these massively weather affected events. And of course, if you want any kind of precedent, Matt Fitz won that, having been part of the successful Team Europe Ryder Cup team in Rome. So those of you just dismissing the 4 players returning back from New York might just want to take a little look at that. Although, of course, that was an away. This is an away Ryder Cup versus a home Ryder Cup, etc. Statistically, or from trend perspective, GB and Ireland players have won 15 of the 23 Dunhill links. So localish players have tended to prevail around these parts over the years since it's been running. Can be a volatile event though in terms of the winners. For all of your Tyrrell Hattons and your Matt Fitzpatricks who were 10, 12, 16 to 1, those kind of numbers through their various wins. There's also been the likes of Oliver Wilson winning 500 to 1. Thorbjorn Olsen won at 200 to 1. More recently, Victor Perez won at 175 to 1. So it is that kind of event where you could take a punt on some longer shots, particularly with some weather in the forecast. And it's not out of the realms of possibility to see one of them place or even win. So perhaps a week to chance your arm. Perhaps a week for you to pick out some real long shots, Barry. There might be one that pops up this week. I've backed 5 this week. 3 of them are long shots, actually. The main dilemma for me was what to do with the 4 Ryder Cuppers. Now, we've all seen the celebrations going long into the night on Sunday over in New York, and Shane Lowry dancing on the tables with a glass of red in one hand and the Ryder Cup in the other, and the rest of the team getting involved as well. So these guys have been drinking with Shane, and then they're travelled back. They're arriving in very different conditions, very different green speeds, very different type of golf, and of course all of the media attention is going to be on those guys. So any of those four at the top of the market could win. Till's won here 3 times. Matt Fitz has got previous of winning after a Ryder Cup, as I said. Whether they do this year or not, I don't know. I've given them a wide berth personally. If one of them wins, I will doff my cap, clap, and move on to next week. But I haven't gone there. I've led my team with Brooks Koepka this week at 25-1. And I think if there's anyone who might take a little bit of inspiration from not being involved last week, and seeing his compatriots falter, particularly in the first couple of days, it may well be Brooks Koepka. Now, I don't think he was ever really a consideration for this team that's just gone past. I mean, aside from his limited chances to qualify through LIV, I don't think his game's been particularly there in the past 12 months, and I don't think he could reasonably have expected to have been in the frame for a captain's pick. Generally, it's been the putter. He's talked about it at times. He doesn't give the most elaborate of interviews, but when he has talked about it, it's tended to be moaning about the putter. It looks like he's changed his setup, and that seems to be working, particularly when we saw him last time out in Paris. I mean, he faltered in the back nine to let Michael Kim through in Paris last time. Finished 4th in the end, but there were some positive signs. Great for him to be in contention again. 7th for strokes gained putting on the week, and by his own estimation, he thinks he's turned the corner with a putter. And that's got to be a real positive for him. That's going to put confidence through his game. And with Brooks, there's always been this narrative, and I've talked about it, and I've kind of sided with it in the past, that Brooks can only be bothered at the majors, but maybe there's an exception here. He's talked about St Andrews as being his favourite course on the planet a number of times. If ever there's an interview where he's talking about favourite courses or St Andrews, then he's always gushing about the place. And I suspect for him to win at the home of golf would be one of those, one of his own personal goals, one of his own personal targets. So I think he'll be given this absolutely everything this week. Last 4 attempts here: 9th, 7th, 2nd, 10th. For me, I think if there's a player that is going to stand up and just say, this is what I can do, and I should be involved in 2 years' time in Ireland, then I think it could well be Brooks Koepka. So yeah, back to McCordley, 25-1. A little bit of 25 still out there as we record this on Tuesday morning. Now, I've got a player at 60-1 and then 3 that are triple digits. So let's bring you boys in first, see if there's anyone sub 50-1 who's caught your eye. Barry, any interest this week from you?
The Koepka one is interesting. So I'm kind of in a debate between him and another who should be motivated by the Ryder Cup. And from the Irish perspective, I was thinking maybe Tom McKibben. A couple of outings here, the last 2 years, 14th and 43rd last year. Coming off a couple of decent performances, has had a nice 2-week break. We'll have watched the Ryder Cup there, and being Irish, he can surely handle a few nasty, gnarly conditions that they're going to meet this weekend. So I'm flipping a coin between the two, which sounds ridiculous. McKibben versus a 5-time major winner. So, I'll let that mush around in my head and figure out one or the other.
Yeah, well, they're not at such silly prices that you couldn't have both of them in your team, Barry, if you're in that way minded. I was on McKibben last year, so yeah, I can certainly see your logic with him. Playing some decent stuff. What about you, Steve? Any relatively short players in your team?
I'm going to start this off. I'm going to throw a quiz question in there. You're going to love this, guys. Before Brooks Koepka finished 4th in Paris the other week, what do you reckon his world ranking was?
120th.
Barry?
840.
I could be way off.
Amazingly enough, it is in between. He was 325th in the world rankings.
Was he? Wow.
It shows you how Liv has, and of course the decisions of players to go to Liv have completely fractured golf. But he's now currently 235th. I do love that bet, so I'm on Koepka. I noticed on Odds Checker yesterday there was a sea of blue as soon as the boards were coming up. I could actually see Koepka getting motivated to win at St Andrews.
Yeah.
Get that.
He loves it. He does. If you go back through any of his old interviews from the years gone by when he's played this, he's always talking about how this is his favourite course. We'll see.
Yeah, I do get that. So I'm definitely on him. The player the player that really impressed me last week, and I was I wouldn't say pleasantly surprised, because I was kind of defending him in podcasts before the off, was Matt Fitzpatrick. And if there's one guy from last week that isn't going to have too much of a skinful, because I wouldn't have thought he could handle many beers, Matt, and will come over here and keep that. His approach play last week was just incredible. So I've had a sneaky win-only bet on Matt Fitzpatrick with Betfred at 11-1. So 11-1 Fitzpatrick, and I followed you in on Koepka.
Yeah, you do get repeat winners of this, as we've seen with Tyrrell 3 times now. And I guess if there was one that I was contemplating of the 4, it was early on. It was Matt. I don't know. I think none of us know how they're going to perform, and he has got previous of this, and players that step their game up for this particular event, and a few days on, clear ahead. Maybe he does it. We'll see.
When you're playing that good golf, it might just come naturally.
Yeah. Oh, and look, he has for the last 2 or 3 months now. He's been playing massively consistent golf, and he was knocking the pins out some of those holes, wasn't he, over the Thursday, Friday in particular, until he ran into that Bryson juggernaut on Sunday. The next one I've got is Daniel Brown. I've backed at 60-1 with the extra places. A little bit of 66s out there if you want to take the bog standard each way terms. And I've talked plenty about Dan Brown on the podcast in the past about his performance on links golf and coastal golf, and I've just got to back him on that basis because he's come into a format of golf that is most suitable for him, I think. But interestingly, he's been performing really well away from links golfer too, as well this year. So he won the BMW International Open earlier this year. More recently, top 12 at the Belfry, at the K Club, in Paris last time out as well. And if you look at the DP World Tour rankings right now, he sits just outside those top 10 players who will be earning a card for next year. So plenty of motivation for Dan Brown to play well, and plenty of reason to suggest that he will. Not got the best of records here, although if you dig into it, 10th after day one in 2023, that was the year that it got severely impacted by the weather. 22nd going into Sunday last year, and then fell away a little bit. So the record here is a little bit understated. I think he's heading towards a big personal best here this week at the Dunhill Links, given how he's been playing. So I'll back him accordingly. Now, my other 3 are all triple digits. Do either of you want to chime in with anything before I go through those?
Anything for you, Barry?
No, I'm kind of into the triple digits on a couple of ideas.
I sneaked yesterday 80-1 on Joachim Lagergren. 4th here in 2015, 12th in 2017, 3rd in 2019, 2nd in 2021. Wow. Bit of a specialist. So far this season, 2nd at the KLM Open in June, and then 2nd a few weeks ago at the Irish Open, where he led after 36 holes and then got beat in a playoff by, I think it was a chap by the name of Rory McIlroy. He has got a real shout. I know this sounds absolutely ridiculous, and what a feat if he does it. You know, there's some interesting players that might be playing PGA Tour next year. Lagergren at 22nd in the race to Dubai has got a real shot of getting a a PGA Tour card next year. Elvis Smiley's the one that's holding the 10th spot at the moment, and he is about 200 points behind him. 240, roughly. So yeah, Joachim Lagergren for me. I got 80 to 1 with Betfred on their 8 places each way market yesterday.
Yeah, he does love the Dunhill links. I never called Lagergren right, so
no,
the fact that I've left him alone may well.
As a podcast, I think one of us needs to cover him off.
Well, it'd be nice for one of us to actually get him when he plays well one week, because we kind of skirt round it, and then just when you don't expect it, he pops up with another.
I expect he'll miss the cut, but he's so obvious and he's so value packed. I thought at that price, get him on board. That's me done. That's my 3.
Cool. Right. So my 3 longer prices. I've got Marcus Armitage at 125 to 1. If you look at some of the previous winners here, Martin Keimer, Oliver Wilson, Thorbjorn Olsen, Danny Willett as well, all of them had previous runner-up finishes here. So the fact that the Bullet finished second to Matt Fitzpatrick here in 2023 piqued my interest. Up and down season, but lots of signs of life. Second at Ras Al Khaimah. He's had 4 first-round leads during the course of 2025. Loads of missed cuts as well, but more recently, 12th in Ireland, 5th in Paris, and 4th for strokes gained putting there in Paris on his last start. That was a real eye-catcher, so couldn't resist a bit of the Bullet. Marcus Armitage, 125s. Couldn't resist Guido Migliozzi as well. 160 to 1 I got with 8 places and a 5th. There's still 175 out there.
That's ridiculous.
Standard. Well, it is for a player.
We were on him, weren't we, a few weeks ago, and he finished in the top 8, and he was in the last group with Koepka.
Yeah, so he finished. Yeah, he finished 5th in the end in France with our money, and I scrolling down the list yesterday to find him. I'm thinking, wow, that is just a mad price. So I've got to stick with him. I stuck with him last year. He finished 8th, carrying my money in Germany, and then won the KLM Open the following starts. So perhaps he's the kind of player that just needs that taste of contention, then goes and does it. That KLM Open was on another exposed course. He won at the Golf National before that. Again, another exposed course. Both of them have got some linksy features without being links courses. So, I'm sure he likes what he sees when he arrives here at St Andrews. 17th in 2021. That's his best result, but he comes into this with progressive form. A little bit of a spark with a putter last time as well. He was 8 shots better from a strokes gained putting perspective, tournament on tournament, last time out in France. So something percolating with a flat stick. A chunky 3-digit price. I thought Guido had to go into the team. And the final one, even longer, Jens Dantorp, opened at 600 to 1. I got a bit of 500 to 1 with 8 places. There's still plenty of 300 to 1 and more available. And I mean, this is a guy still looking for a breakthrough on the DP World Tour, but got plenty of wins at lower levels. 3 on the Challenge Tour, 8 on the Alps Tour. And loves Scotland. He was 3rd at Gullen back in 2018 at the Scottish Open. Decent renewal that. 5th at Fairmont St Andrews, just up the coast in 2022. 5th to halfway here last year, and 4th to halfway in Paris on his last start, finished 14th overall, and hit the highest percentage of greens in regulation last time out, 79% of the entire 2025 season for him. So, yeah, huge punt, but I think at the price, I've just got to take a chance. I did and ah about whether to put him up, but I couldn't resist at that price. So he's got to go in. So that's Jens Dantorp, Guido Migliozzi, Marcus Armitage, Daniel Brown, and at the top, Brooks Koepka. So Barry, 3-figure chances. You got one or two that caught your eye?
I'm going to join you on Armitage. Just like the alignment of things. So let's see how he goes. The other ones I was looking at, I have to figure them out. Or Connor Syme, Todd Clements, and Jeff Winter.
Yes. Yeah, Syme was on some of my... Again, you can expect him to play well in Scotland, but...
Didn't Winter have a good Saturday in France last time out? Jumped to the top of the leaderboard, or close to?
He was in the mix, yeah. And he's got previous with in windy conditions as well, Jeff Winter. So,
10th and a 14th here in 2 of the last 4 years. So I'm going to go stretch out the places for these guys. I think I might just put a few little small sprinkles because it could be a bit potlucky this week with the wind. Get some pretty crazy big numbers scored by some players and just remove your guy from contentions. So
I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to join you on Guido, Paul, as well, because that would kill me if I wasn't on him the time after I was on him and he wins.
Yeah. It's mad price.
It is a mad price.
I
didn't even scan that far down the odds, to be honest.
No, you kind of have mental preconceptions of where a price or a player may come into the market, and I was hoping to get somewhere around 3 figures for him. So to see him pushing up to way beyond that, and generally 150s and beyond. So
no wonder you got your tips out so early. You were literally like, they've got to go out.
Well, once he's back, mate, you just got to press go, haven't you? So, yeah, excited for Guido. So cue a miscut. But yes, that's me.
Sanderson Farms Championship. A little bit different to the Dunhill Links. We've seen this for years, haven't we? So I know, we're tight on time. So the golf course, Country Club of Jackson, down in Mississippi, 7,461 yards. Now, I used to call this a long golf course, but Barry's taught me over the last 6 months that we now live in modern times. So I'm actually now categorising this as a medium-length golf course on the predictor model. It can either play resort-level scoring, so minus 23, 24, those kind of numbers, or depending on turf or weather conditions, a kind of mid-score, high teens level. So that's one thing to bear in note. So you won last year at 23 under, Luke List 18 under, Mackenzie Hughes 17 under. The last 3 winners. We are looking at, so clearly I've got to go into the agronomy. That's what the listeners desire. Fairways 419 Bermuda grass, rough 419 Bermuda grass with Zion Zlesia grass. 2.5 inches the rough length. Greens are 6,200 square feet, so pretty much average. They feature Champion Ultra Dwarf. Those are the types of greens that you will find history from. Make a note. Sedgefield Country Club, the Wyndham. TPC Southwind, where they played the FedEx Cup first, the FedEx Cup playoffs first event, the FedEx Cup Championship, whatever it's called. Quail Hollow since 2017. All champion. Pinehurst number 2, 2024 US Open, that featured champion. Also, don't forget the Dunes Golf Club, which now hosts the Myrtle Beach Classic, which is one of those alternate events. They've run that in 24 and 25. That was the one that you landed Ryan Fox at, Paul. Would that be correct? Or no, yeah. I think you landed him the second time, didn't you, in Canada?
Oh, yes, sorry.
That's right. And also Congaree, 2021 Palmetto Championship, 2022 CJ Cup. McElroy won the CJ Cup, and Palmetto was won by Garrick Higo. So they're all champion Bermuda grass greens. You do also, and I'm not going to go into that, but if you really want to be anal about it, there's quite a few champion Bermuda grass green golf courses on the Corn Ferry. Pretty obvious they're going to be kind of southeast types of golf courses in terms of their location. It's a southeast grass, effectively. What else to say? Pretty tough set of par fives for a golf course of this vintage. But yeah, I think the wind could be a factor this week. Now, I'm on Wind Finder. And we're looking at hot and humid, which it always is here. Apart from Sunday, where temperatures drop. In fact, they plummet. 31 degrees Celsius as of Thursday. That sticks with us Friday, Saturday. And then it plummets as a front moves through. You might expect some form of issue here. Whether there's electricity in this weather front, you'd guess probably. 23 degrees Celsius on Sunday. So from 31, that's quite a big fall, isn't it? The main feature, though, here is a lot more wind across all 4 days. So morning starters can see anything up to 20. It calms down in the afternoon on Thursday, but still 10 to 15. Pretty much exactly the same on Friday. So just keep, if you're into your DraftKings, we can't be in the UK, but if you are into your DraftKings, keep your eye on weather forecasts. You might get some kind of draw. I mean, even from a betting perspective, there might be a bit of a draw bias. But at the moment, it looks kind of level. We're then seeing 10 to 15. All of these winds, by the way, are easterlies. We're also seeing 10 to 15 on Saturday, but this Sunday front comes through. I'm seeing up to 25 miles an hour. So I don't think this 23 under par Kevin Yu kind of total or Sam Burns at 22 under in 2021 is going to happen. I think high teens, 17, 16, 17, that kind of number. So I classify that as mid-score. What I will say is, great idea would be to go to our PGA Tour predictor this week. We have a wind variable on there that clearly tots up performances in windy conditions over 20 miles an hour over a rolling 5-year period. Hoagie, Jaeger, Homer, Putnam, Mitchell, List, Grillo, Power, Battier, Cole, Taylor Moore are the top 10. Players I looked at that I haven't backed, I had a this golf course tends to suit bombers. Whether it does in windy conditions, I would have thought that's going to not help them. Theodor Bjornsson's very, very obvious. He is, with spread X alone, he is joint 16-1 favourite with Akshay Bhatia. Never thought I'd say that. Michael Theodor Bjornsson. Rasmus Højgaard comes direct from the Ryder Cup. Mackenzie Hughes is an absolute course expert. He won the last renewal that featured a lot of wind here. 35-1. Nikolai Højgaard, bomber. I think this course will really suit him. And I also had a very close look at Jacob Bridgman, who I think is trending towards a first PGA Tour victory. Now, if my memory serves me right, Bridgman made the Tour Championship this year, which for a guy in his second season is a very strong performance. Non-winner so far, but noticeably on the PGA Tour Predictor Wind Finder. Bearing in mind he's only played 2 full seasons on the PGA Tour. He's in the top 25 for wind blow. He is a phenomenal putter. So Bridgman is one to take real note of, I think, this week. The wind wasn't quite as strong as that. I think if I was probably writing the tips now, I'd have included him in the team, but what can you do? Here are the ones I have included. I have backed, what was it? 6, I think. Yeah, 6. Now, when you look at this is your typical kind of tournament on a nondescript golf course that can be won a couple of different ways. We've had winners here that have dominated from tee to green and actually putted negatively and won. Now, bizarrely, and this is this is the kind of thing with this course, it goes against, when you look at the data and you go look at the guys that have won it, it kind of, again, when you look at that data, it goes against what you would expect those players to do. Do you see what I mean? It's like Sam Burns. He dominated from tee to green and was negative with the putter. And you say to anyone over a pint, Sam Burns, what's his best strength? Everyone will go, well, he's a great putter. Well, not that week, and he still won. And that kind of goes with Kevin Yu last year. Kevin Yu, in horrible form, he won this at 110 to 1. Kevin Yu is a phenomenal tee to green player. I'm talking sort of top 25 on the PGA Tour kind of level. Can't putt. Last year, he only gained 3.84 strokes tee to green and gained 8.679 with the putter. So it's the complete antipathy. Players win in a way that you just don't expect them to win, but they get over the line. Mackenzie Hughes, by the way, 9.2 tee to green, of which 4.5 was around the green. You see what I'm saying? Players here with short games. He gained 3.6 with a putter, so that Bridgman shout isn't a bad one, I think. But I've gone for, Rico Hoey. 33 to 1, Betfred, 8 places each way. Rico Hoey, these numbers are absolutely phenomenal. So if we're going to go down the route of someone that literally takes this course apart tee to green and putts, well, let's hope with Rico, putts at neutral, he ranks so far on the season second for off the tee, first for total driving, this is in the world of Scotty Scheffler, 12th for approach, first for greens in regulation, and second for tee to green. Second for tee to green on the 2025 PGA Tour, and we are now going into October.
Doesn't lie.
He's only behind, I think you might guess who's number one, but he's directly ahead of Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa and Russell Henley. Now, it's bleeding obvious what he can't do, because otherwise Rico Hoey would have probably won a couple of titles this year, and you'd be going, this Rico Hoey, he's a player, isn't he? He could do well in majors. He can't putt, clearly. In fact, he's last for putting, averaging over a stroke lost per round with the flat stick. But what he did do on his last tournament at the Procore, he's gone to a long putter. And he actually putted neutrally at Silverado. And lo and behold, of course, gets the top 10. Because he's going to. Because he's so bloody good from tee to green. I've said bleeding and bloody in the sort of 35-second segment there. But, he ranks just amazingly well on the predictor model that I built. He's number one by a level. So Rico Hoey, I took him at 33 to 1 with Betfred place, 8 places each way. One other thing I will get here is the prices of winners we see here. You 110, List 50, Hughes 110, Sergio Garcia in 2020 won at 70 to 1. The one fly in the ointment, Sam Burns 16 to 1 in 2021. Sebastian Munoz and Cam Champ were both 66 to 1 before Burns. So it kind of puts me off chasing Michael Bjornsson to win his maiden title at 16-1. Or Akshay Bhatia to win, who is favourite with most at 18-1. Right, you guys, anyone, my next tip is at 50s, I believe, or 45s. Who do you fancy towards the top of the market? Paul, you first.
Well, you laugh because you've mentioned him a few times now, but I have backed Michael Bjornsson. And
You haven't backed him at 16-1 with Spreadex, though, have you?
No, I haven't. No, I've got
thank
25s. So I do think this is a pretty good chance for him. I've got to say, and 8th here last year. Yeah, that's pretty clear to see. But he's consistently hitting around 10% more greens in regulation now than he was back a year ago. So he's sharpened his irons up. He was generally hitting kind of mid-60s in terms of GIR back then. He's generally hitting mid-70s. He hit 79% at the Pro Tour last time out, at 13th in the end. 5th for strokes gain on the tee, off the tee last time. Long hitter, as we know, so he can handle this course. 7th for strokes gain tee to green, and that was his best of 2025. So I guess generally it's just going to come down to the putting, as you said. He's been a flat putter recently, not much at the Pro Tour, but if you look at last year, he was 7th for strokes gained putting when he arrived here, or that's how he performed on the greens here last year. So if he puts it all together, then I think this is a big chance for him to make that breakthrough. So yeah, I have backed him 25-1. I thought it was worth taking on.
He's an obvious chance for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I've got one shared with you, which is probably fairly obvious, and then I've got a 3-figure chance further down when you get to that point.
Barry, you must be hating this tournament. This is the kind of time. This is the time of year on the PGA Tour that isn't your kind of. That's not your jibe, is it? When you've got Akshay Bhatia at 18-1 to win a golf tournament.
It's a little uninspiring. I'm gonna take one on the flip of coming from from one really high level tournament, and then this will feel like a drop down. So Minwoo Lee played the BMW Championship, then went and played well in the Open de France. Good kind of mix of skill sets there, and the driving distance was high. So the long game was in decent shape, a good putting at the BMW. So thought I would take him at, I think he's around 25s, 22, I can sneak at 25s. So yeah, I'm going to go for him.
I think he was top 5 for approach in Paris, which isn't his game. So yeah, get that.
And I have one other, which is up at like 75, 80-1.
Okay.
Do you want me to go to that?
So two big hitters in Woo Lee, Theo Bjornsson. Hoey's kind of top 45, so he's long enough, but he's iron straight. As we know, he must be. He's top of total driving. So we've got 3 big hitters on the card already across the podcast. My next one, who I couldn't resist, was Garrick Higgo. Now, Higgo is a 5 times winner on the main tours, 3 on the DP, 2 on the PGA. You'll remember he won already on the PGA this year. He won the Corrales. So clearly now got his card for a couple of years, guaranteed. Thanks. But he's one of these guys I like because he's a bomber who is one of these rarities, a bomber that really puts lights out. He's a bit like Minwoo Lee in a way, but not quite to the level of Minwoo Lee. This guy can get it out there and can putt extremely well, and I think that's a good skill set to get on board. So I'm on Higgo, 1.5 points each way, 45-1 with Betfred, 8 place each way. Higgo, you may remember, top 10 at the Pro Court last time out. This course, to me, would suit him far more than Silverado, which is a tight, tree-lined, bent Poa green golf course. And to kind of put that into some kind of relevance, Higgo was 3rd here on course debut back in 22, and he was 16th the year after in 23. So comes in with form, loves the course. In pulse statistics, he ranks 4th in this field for strokes gained total of those that have played more than once. And you look at Higo, 4 of his 5 wins have all come when in the tournament before he finished in the top 8. So he's one of these guys that if you see a top 10, he does win straight after. Mm. So Higo for me, 45-1, Betfred 8 places each way. My next selection is 55-1. That is Sami Falamaki. Now, he's another course set. Not long off the tee, Sami, but, wow. This guy's a guy that's fantastic with his approach play, and he's a great putter. So not a bomber, superb approach play, great putter. He was 3rd for strokes gained putting as recently as Cran-sur-Sierre on the DP World Tour, where he finished, I think he was either 2nd or 3rd, up there in Switzerland. Across my 8 event strokes gained trackers, he ranks 1st for approach in this field. He's in the top 10 for both tee to green and current form. And what I like about him is, just look at his DP World Tour record. Yes, I think both of his wins came on paspalum greened golf courses, but he's also got some decent performances on Bermuda. And he's so far this year finished 4th at the Houston Open and 7th at the Myrtle Beach Classic. I mentioned that earlier, champion Bermuda grass greens. So we know that he can perform well on these kind of green types. I think Sam is trending for a win soon. He's playing some very nice golf. He was 2nd at the Amiga European Masters. So I am on board Sami Falamaki, 1.25 points each way, 55-1 I got with Bet365 via their 8 places each way market. Right. Paul, over to you, because I believe that we might be on the same player.
Yeah, well, you've covered him off. Garrick Higo's the one I've backed.
Oh, you've gone for Higo. Okay.
Yeah, I think for all of the stuff that you talked through, it makes a lot of sense. 2nd for strokes going off the tee last time out as well, which caught the eye because that was a good improvement over where he had been. And as you said, the boy can putt. There's just every angle you look at with Higo, he's demanding to be supported this week. So yes, he's the other one I've backed. And as I say, I've got one more in 3 figures.
I thought, listeners, we don't know. I mean, it's impossible with Barry because he makes it up on the hoof, but we don't know who any of our... Well, Paul clearly knows my selections because he builds the pages and puts it on the internet, but we just don't know who we're going to tip up together as a podcast. I thought you were going to go for Matt Meisner because you mentioned him to me a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. No, I contemplated it, but yeah, I've kept my team quite... convince me, Steve. Go on. Convince me.
I'll tell you what I like about Mac Meisner. He was 2nd at the Wyndham a couple of months ago. Now, we know with the Wyndham, Sedgefield features champion Bermuda grass greens, yeah? And if you just looked historically and were anal enough to go into all of the data, he's gained 0.6 with the putter at Myrtle Beach in 24, 1.12 with the putter at the Wyndham in 2024. He gained 0.2 at the Sanderson Farms here last year, 1.46 at the Wyndham in 25 when he finished 2nd. He clearly likes these kind of greens. And Mac Meisner is a slightly negative putter overall. So it would suggest that Meisner likes Bermuda grass and he likes champion Bermuda grass. He comes from South Carolina. Yeah, Southeast United States. A lot of golf courses there have clearly got this. So it all kind of makes sense. And Meisner's just one of those players. He's 303-yard driver off the tee. Probably long enough. 14th at the 3M. 2nd at the Wyndham. Kept active at the Procore. Made the cut. One of those ones that would come in at a slightly bigger price. And when you'd look at it, you'd go, oh, God, I should have been on Matt Meisner. He's been trending. 37th here on his only appearance 12 months ago. So Mac Meisner I'm on. Again, Bet365 via their each way extra facility. 8 places. I got 66 to 1. Mac Meisner. Did I convince you?
Yeah. I'm going. You carry on talking. I'm just going to go and back him. You're right. I did mention him, and I should be backing him because I will be disappointed if I don't. So, yeah. Team Meisner.
I followed Eric Van Rooyen at Wentworth. He looked happy. He looked chatty. He was driving the ball really well. And there's one thing we know with Eric Van Rooyen. He kind of sneaks up and wins golf tournaments. Would not be surprised. He was 16th here on his only appearance in 2023. Look at the driving distance charts year in, year out. You'll find Eric, EVR, in the top 50. So he's got power. He's a 2-time winner on the PGA Tour. Those wins came at... there's one win that kind of I like. The Worldwide Technology Championship. He won that at Tiger Woods' El Cardinal at Diamante, which is a kind of desert golf course in Mexico. But Barry, we talk about biorhythms, don't we? And Eric, he just likes full series golf. He likes full series golf. And one thing with Eric, I think Eric gets rather bored. He tends to just kind of go into mush. But when he's got a target and he knows that he wants to play well and hit certain things, that's when Eric kind of flourishes. Top 25 at Wentworth. I wouldn't say Wentworth's an Eric Van Rooyen course. It's too tight. It's too claustrophobic. Somewhere with a bit of room, nondescript, par 72, mid-length. We know with him that he can go extremely low. I think he was second this year at the CJ Cup. They played the Byron Nelson on that drag strip down in Texas. He's had a couple of close calls this year, Eric Van Rooyen, when you look at his numbers. Would not be surprised to see him in the mix. By the way, he's in the top 20 of our win players across the last 5 years as well. So that doesn't destroy my positivity on Eric. So EVR, I got a point each way, 66 to 1 with Bet365, 8 places each way. I'm very, very dry in the mouth. I need a slug of tea. My last selection is triple digits. So over Barry, let's bring you in. Where are you at? 'Cause I know you've got a price around here, haven't you?
I've won. Yeah, I've gone for the long driving angle, and it's Isaiah Salinda.
Yep.
So very good last time out in the Procore. He was strokes gained off the tee was 21st, driving distance was 8th, strokes gained approach was 16th, which was a good uptick from his usual, and his putter was just a little bit below neutral. So take him. I'll probably get like 66 to 1, 8 places. I haven't put it on yet, but just looking around, he's 75s for 75s with 6 places. So I might take the extra few places.
I saw his name in quite a few of the stats I was looking at. He's a big driver of the golf ball. He gets it out there, and I always remember him because his first name is so difficult to spell. I always get it wrong. So yeah, he's 6th in my 8 weeks numbers for strokes gained off the tee. Level with, guess who won here last year? Kevin Yu. So yeah, get that. Do get that. Paul, long shot.
Davis Riley, I've backed 125 to 1. He again, talking about stats and players that pop up. He leads the medium length course stats on your analysis that feeds into the predictor. So he caught the eye there. I had a little bit of a dig through, and his headline record here is fairly poor if you look at it just on the absolute numbers. But he was the first round leader here in 2022, open for 66. He missed the cut last year, but his second round was 65. So he's shot a couple of decent rounds here. I suspect he actually likes the course a little bit better than his numbers would suggest. off the boil, but 4 missed cuts and then 32nd on his last start at the St Jude. So he's had a nice break since. Don't forget, this is the guy that finished second at the US PGA Championship earlier in the year, and you're getting a hefty 3-figure price in what is a fairly weak field. So
where was that, eh? Quail Hollow. What does that have? Champion Bermuda Grass Greens.
there you go.
He's a proper southern golf course specialist. If you ever see him out west or Poana, just forget about him. But on Bermuda Grass and Poa Triv and all this southern golf courses, Colonial won that, didn't he?
Yep.
Now that features bent grass, but the rest of the golf course is all Bermuda grass as per this week. So yeah, definite south or southeastern golf course specialist, Davis Ryder.
Yeah, so I thought 125s was worth a punt.
I remember him at Valspar this year. I think we were all on board and we were praying he was going to cling on to top 8.
Yeah.
And he was missing green after green, and he's a phenomenal chipper, that guy. His short game's crazy, and he did actually come in at a decent price. I think it's triple digits on a top 8 place each way bet. But yeah, get that.
Well, he does need to chip well because he misses a lot of greens. I mean, if he can find some greens this week, then I think he'll be dangerous. Again, that's just been where he's been lacking a little bit. But see what he's done in the last few weeks while he's had some downtime. Perhaps he's been sharpening those irons up.
Isaiah Cylinder did catch my eye, Barry, but I went for a triple digit that was in the end 110 to 1. Again, Bet365 8 place each way. They've had some very good eight each way prices this week. Bet365, 3/4 of a point each way. This guy's pretty phenomenal, I think. No one ever talks about him, especially after a Ryder Cup. Englishman, 43 years of age. This is his 3rd year on the PGA Tour. Just kind of a grinder. David Skins. If there's one thing David can do, he can hit the ball a long way, which for a 43-year-old is pretty insane. He's in the top 20 for driving distance. That's pretty mad, isn't it, for a 43-year-old? Fair play to him. He must be in good condition. But he just comes to the party when Skins nips in with top 10s and whatever, it tends to be on Bermuda grass. He's a very good approach player from 125 to 200 yards, which are distances that are going to be very much in play this week. He's top 10 for strokes gained tee to green across my 8-event tracker. And last year, he was first. You know, like you just said, you get little things that you just notice on a set of data pool. He was the first round leader here last year. He shot 12 under, 60. He was 3rd after 36 holes and then fell away. But he's had 3 top 10 finishes so far this season. So yeah, David Skins, I threw him in 3/4 of a point each way, 110 to 1, Bet365, 8 places each way. Barry, your long shot. Have you got a long shot?
No, that was it. I'm being very reserved this week on bearing in mind that I usually just pump money into the bookies' pockets this time of year. So let's just take it nice and easy. Well, it's particularly on the PGA Tour. So we'll just we'll take it nice and easy just with a couple.
You're just gutted Gary Woodland isn't playing this, because I said to you last week that I thought Gary Woodland would go extremely well. Clearly, he's because he was so into the Ryder Cup last week, not taking part. Paul, your long shot.
No, that was it, Davis Riley.
That was you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've drunk too much tea. Clearly gone crazy. That's us for the week, then.
Yes.
Who have you got next week, Paul, in terms of a tournament?
It's the Open d'Espagne next. Actually, a cracking field. John Rahm, Shane Lowry's playing if he's sobered up in time. Joaquin Neiman, Sergio Garcia, some crackers. So yeah, another good event.
These live players playing these events, chaps. What's going on?
Yeah, Patrick Reed's playing. They're all in.
Reed, you look at Patrick Reed. He needs a top 50 in the world, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got his agenda.
Yeah. Otherwise, no majors. I hope your bets go well.
Yeah, best luck, boys.
You too, boys. Let's try grab a
Best
little,
luck, Barry.
maybe transatlantic double.
Fingers
Be nice.
crossed.
Best luck to listeners. We'll be back next week.
If you like betting on golf, but everyone that you back misses the cut, get some experts involved with all the stats and the tips and so much more. 'Cause it's the golf betting system, the golf betting system.